All right, Magic Makers. I'm having myself a full circle moment. I'm interviewing someone who I've actually used his product for years, and I was just laughing with him that I didn't realize was named after somebody. So I'm now meeting the person. And as you know, I'm always on the hunt to really help you guys feel good in your own skin without having to do 42 million things. And today we're talking about something that's been hiding in plain sight, something that I know for I am a woman over 40, and for decades we were told to avoid the oil. Fat free was our mantra back in the day. And so if you're cooking with oil, drizzling on your salad, or maybe slathering it on your skin, it could be silently messing with your hormones, your brains, your joint, and let's be honest, your mood. And so today I am bringing the OG of good fats to the world, I'm sorry, Udo Erasmus.
Erasmus.
Erasmus. Ugh,
Yeah, you got it
Erasmus.
perfect. You just got it perfect.
Erasmus has
Yeah,
been
there you go.
talking about good fats before it was a thing. Before people were talking about seed oils and all this stuff, this man has been living and breathing oils. This man knows so much about omega-3s and how they all work. And he's just written a book called Fat That Heals, Fats That Kill. And he is the creator of Udo's 369 blend, which tastes absolutely fabulous. And he's also written another book called Your Body Needs an Oil Change. So, Udo, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you for having me on, Kim.
Yeah, and it's funny because I found your oil because when I first started doing fitness competitions, one of the biggest things that my coach at the time was drilling into our heads, we needed to have good fat oils in our system so that our skin didn't like dry up when we were, doing shows.
Well, yeah,
And
there were two things. One was that they burn the fat under your skin so that you get shredded,
yeah,
and then the other one was that you had energy and that your skin wasn't dry. Yeah,
yeah. And so, before that, I am a child of, the 80s, and we
yeah.
were you ran from oil. Like, if you ate fat, it was going to make you fat. So with that said, you've been in the game a long time. So what has been your biggest aha moment that made you get so obsessed with fats?
Well, I got poisoned by pesticides in 1980,
Wow.
and long story, I was careless and kind of did it to myself. It was like, and so I got poisoned. I went to the doctor and said, "What do you have for pesticide poisoning?" And she said, "Nothing." Okay,
Wow.
so we can spray pesticides all over the planet, and we have nothing for fixing the damage they cause. That's called freedom without responsibility.
Yes.
It's a very common thing in the so-called free world, right? And so I said, okay, well, I'm on my own here. So my health is my responsibility. Well, I already knew that, but it was like it really landed at that point.
Yeah.
Oh my God, my health really is my responsibility. And
True.
now I got a problem that I got to deal with. And I had background in biochemistry and genetics and biology. So I love living things, and I was always fascinated by them. And I wanted to learn everything about them. So I had a good background for that. But now I never studied nutrition.
Mm.
And so I said, okay, well, let's see. My body is made out of food plus water plus air, and they're always turning over. Like if you drink as much water as you're supposed to drink, you drink about your body's weight in water every month.
Ooh.
You know that, right? So that you will drink 12 times, 12 to 15 times your body weight in water every year. And it's
Mm.
just going through. You pour it on the bottom and it dribble it out the bottom, right? And it takes all the junk out with it, filters your blood, right? And keeps you hydrated, and your body is 70% water.
Hmm.
And the other thing I knew is that I had read somewhere that every year, 98% of the atoms that are in your body are removed and replaced.
Huh.
98%.
Yeah.
So that means, and I said, okay, body's made out of food, water, and air. If something goes wrong with it, raise your standard.
Mm.
What you put in, right? So I said, okay, so I got to raise my standard of what I got to put in my body. And then in 1 year, I can have rebuilt my body to a higher standard, 98%. That's, by the way, that's why healing is possible,
Yeah.
because your body's always turning over. And so the cure for anything that goes wrong with your body is always to raise your standard.
Yes. Yeah.
Makes sense, right? You
Totally
put in
makes
good
sense.
stuff, you end up with a good body. You put in junk, you end up with a junk body, right? You put in the wrong stuff, you could poison yourself, right? Right? So I was looking at all of that and I was looking, okay, well, the minerals, there's 18 essential minerals. And the biggest issue for me was essential nutrients.
Mm,
And essential nutrients are very specifically defined by researchers. And these are nutrients that you have to live and be healthy. You can't make them from anything else in your body. So they have to come in from outside,
right.
food or supplement.
Mm,
Okay, that's number one. Number two, if you don't get enough of any essential nutrient long enough, you die.
yeah.
These are like really important.
Right, right.
Okay, can't live without them. Third thing is that if your health is going down because you're not getting enough of an essential nutrient, but before you die, because death by definition is not reversible, right? Because if it was reversible, you didn't die, right?
Right. You'd be a
And
zombie.
yeah, something like that. Yeah. So if before you die you bring enough of that too low nutrient into your body, then all your symptoms of not getting enough reversed. Because life knows how to make your body, provided you take responsibility at your mouth to
Yeah.
make sure all the building blocks it needs to make your body land in it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so I was going 18 minerals fit that definition, 13 vitamins. There's one more piece that they also have to have identified one vital biochemical reaction in the body that requires that nutrient and without which that biochemical reaction cannot take place. So it's a very, very precise definition. And so it's 18 minerals, 13 vitamins, 9 essential amino acids from proteins, and 2 essential fatty acids from fats fit that definition. So I say, okay, well, I'm looking at all what's the really good stuff. Those are the building blocks you have to have, right? And, everything else, carbs and, creatine and, those stuff, your body can make them. So they don't
Right.
have to come in from outside. Okay, so I'm looking at all the essential nutrients. And I read a study that says omega-6 is an essential fatty acid by that definition. And the very next study I read said omega-6 gives you cancer and kills you.
Right.
And there are a lot of people saying these days, don't use seed oils, don't use omega-6s, right?
Right.
Well, I ran into that 45 years ago.
Mm.
And I'm going, what the hell is going on here?
Who
Right?
do I believe?
They can't both be true. It doesn't make sense that I would have to eat something that will then kill me. Right? It's like, wah! And I say, okay, I must be missing something. I am missing something here. What is the thing that can make both of those true? And I started looking at how oils are made. And the way they're made, the industry likes a long shelf life.
Mm-hmm.
But the essential fatty acids, especially the omega-3, are super sensitive to damage by light, by oxygen, and by heat. And they need the most care of any of our nutrients. And we actually give them the least care. We put them in a frying pan and fry the hell out of them, right? And then we change the molecules. You turn oil into smoke. You've
Right.
changed the molecules. And now these are molecules that never existed in nature. And because they never existed in nature, life never made a way to break them down. So when they go in your body, they interfere. They go in some place where there's supposed to be a fat molecule. They can't get the work done in that space because the molecule's the wrong molecule. And then you do that long enough, your body's going to fall apart.
Right.
So I'm thinking, okay, well, first of all, I was like, well, why are they doing that? So I called the Oil Chemist Society, the umbrella organization for the oil industry. I said, I want to talk to a research guy. So they put him on the line. I said, well, so I found out. Because what I found out through their own journals, that when you treat oils for a long shelf life, because by nature they have a short one,
Right.
you got to treat them with sodium hydroxide, which is a really corrosive base. Then you treat them with phosphoric acid, which is a really corrosive acid. Then you bleach them with bleaching clays because
They look pretty.
the color molecules absorb light and the light then damages the oil. So they take them out. And then the oil goes rancid. Now it smells bad. And now you have to deodorize it. I call it de-stinkerize it,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because it stinks. right? And so you to do that, you have to heat the oil to frying temperature for about 30 minutes to blow off the rancid molecules. And then you have an oil that has a 2-year, 3-year shelf life. So then you can make it in Boston and
Hmm.
sell it in Vancouver or in
Right.
Tokyo or in Johannesburg or in Shanghai, right?
Right.
So they get a big market, and that's good for economies of scale. And so you can make good money. So I said to him, so why do you do this when you know it does damage to the oil? He said, well, one reason we can do that is because we can get rid of half of the pesticides in the oil.
Oh,
I'm going, what? I'm going in my head, I'm going, what? I got poisoned by pesticides. I didn't even know there were pesticides in oils at that point. Because
gotcha.
when I studied fats at university, nobody talked about it.
Right.
So I said, okay, there's pesticides in the oil. So I said to him, why don't you start with organically grown seeds? Then you don't have a pesticide poison problem to deal with. And he didn't have an answer for that one. He was just like long silence at the end of the phone. And then he goes mad. Then he's like, "What the? What is
Who's
your
this
problem?
guy?
The oil is only 1%. It's only 1% damaged, and it's 99% good. And if you got 99% on an exam, you'd be damn happy, wouldn't you?" So now I'm saying, well, maybe I'm overreacting. It's only 1%. Let me do the math. So I said, okay, if I have a tablespoon of an oil that is 1% damaged, how many damaged molecules will be in that tablespoon?
Ah,
That's a good question, right?
yeah.
Yeah. So do you know?
No, I gotta tell you, like after like I finished college math.
Oh, are you saying women can't do math?
No, I'm saying that this Kim Barnes Jefferson doesn't do math.
No, no, no. And anyway, women can't do math is not true anyway because it's usually the women that balance the checkbook.
It is.
So it's just a stupid saying. But anyway, so so when in doubt, do the math. So I ask people, you don't have a basis, because you don't know how big molecules are. So
Right.
you don't really know how many damaged molecules are in a tablespoon. But I want you to guess. You'll see why it's really.
It probably if he's saying it's only 1% of a tablespoon, he's just thinking about the tablespoon. But if you're breaking it down to molecules, it's probably turns out to more like, 60% or more that have been damaged in
Well,
that
it can't be 60%. It's only 1% damaged. So only 1% of the molecules are damaged.
1% of the molecules in a tablespoon.
Yeah. But how many molecules would that be? Take a wild guess.
Probably like 300 or 400 molecules.
Okay, 300 or 400 molecules. So 400, let's say 1,000, okay? 1,000 got 3 zeros, right?
Hmm.
The actual number is a 6 followed by 19 zeros. That's
Wow.
how many damaged molecules are in a tablespoon of oil that is 1% damaged. Now, why I do this is because we don't know how big molecules are.
Right.
But what you're doing, and everybody does it, nobody ever gets close to guessing how many actual damaged molecules there are. They're always at least a billion times too low. And yours is like a quadrillion times too low. So like your number, if 3 zeros, 19 zeros, so it's 16 zeros too short.
Wow.
So, and the reason why this is important to point out is people think that way. And they don't realize that they're actually doing a quadrillion times more damage to themselves than they think they're doing because they don't know. And nobody ever told them.
Right. Because if you think about, for those of you guys who aren't watching the video, you think a tablespoon's like this. So you're like, oh, what's 1% of this? But like, as you said, oil
Yeah.
is very dense. And you think about
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
molecules, like how many molecules fit into
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
little circle right
The,
here?
yeah. The point is molecules are super, super, super tiny,
Right.
right? So you got 60 quintillion damaged molecules in that. That's more than a million damaged molecules for every one of your body's 60 trillion cells.
And then
More
as
than
you,
a million per cell in one tablespoon.
but
And
then
people
you,
use 2 to 4.
right.
And
But
then
then
there's
you also,
pesticides.
and then you talked about how this is just me pouring it out of the bottle. So
Yeah,
now I've now put it into my pan. So
yeah,
now damage again happens because I'm now throwing even more heat against this oil.
right. Heat, light, and air. Yeah, and so now you got to multiply that 60 quintillion number by another 3 to 6 times.
Right.
And there's pesticides in the oil, and there's plastic in the oil because oils swell plastic, and they're usually in plastic bottles. So you
Right.
get plastic in your oils, and that's a big deal now too. Plastics, microplastics, right?
Mm.
And then if you do that for 30 years, that's like almost 11,000 days that you're giving yourself 60 quintillion damaged molecules in every tablespoon, right? And so then at the end of that, maybe you get cancer or something. You say, I don't know why. I always ate good,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
nobody ever told you that. And more health problems come from damaged oil than any other part of nutrition because they're the most sensitive molecules, and we treat them with the least care.
So as someone who's kind of listening to the show, and if we're
Mm.
zooming out, the question for people who are asking like seed oil versus this oil, it's not the question of seed oil, it's the question of how is your oil processed from beginning to end is really
Exactly.
is more of the question.
So what the people who are saying don't use seed oils and don't use omega-6 oils, what they're doing is they haven't done their homework. They've done half of their homework. And then if they use damaged oils in studies, then they get some damaged results, right? So they should be blaming the damage done to the oil, not the oil, because omega-6s are essential and you have to have them.
Yeah.
But you also got to have them in balance with omega-3. And that's a problem too, because we get lots of omega-6s, but
Yeah.
not enough omega-3s. And the two push each other out. So you get too much of one, it'll crowd out the other. You get too much of the other, it'll crowd out the one. So you got to get the ratio right, and they got to be made with health in mind.
Yeah.
And that's what, and when I realized how much damage was done to oils, when I did the math, I said, you know what? I can't get healthy on oils like that. We should make them with health in mind. And I was just desperate and crazy enough to say, well, I'm going to do that. So we developed a method for making oils with health in mind. So no light, no oxygen, no heat gets to them. Organically grown seeds in glass, because we
Yeah.
don't want plastic in the oil, box around the glass so no light gets in because light damages the oil really easily. And then they're refrigerated in the factory, in the store, and at home. And you add them to foods after they come off any heat source. You never, ever, 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 ever want to use these good oils for frying. Because
So
the better they are for you when they're good, the worse they get when you wreck them.
So now, right now, I know I've been saying it for years, and I know like right now, some people's heads have just popped off their heads for like, but I cook in olive oil, I cook in coconut oil. Is there any oil that would, basically be safe to cook in? Because you hear about
Yeah,
all these
you,
high temperature
you,
heats, blah 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 blah
you,
blah.
you know what you're asking. You're asking the Russian roulette question.
Yeah,
What can I get away with?
true.
Right? Right? And it's the wrong question. The right question is, what would I need to do in order to have the longest, healthiest, most amazing life that is possible, giving my genetic makeup
Right.
and giving my age and giving, whatever, right? So that's the good question, because ultimately, when it comes right down to it, you actually, what do you want? You're here, so you couldn't help that. Somebody brought you in, right? It's not your fault that you're here,
Right.
right? But you're here, you are, and now that you're here, you got to make the best of it. How do you have the healthiest, most productive, most vital, most fun, longest, amazing life?
Right.
That's the really good question.
That is a good question. And
And the roulette, but I'll answer your Russian roulette question. Uh, Frying is the dumbest thing we have ever invented to do to our food because it does the most damage. More health problems come from damaged oil than any other part of nutrition. And what every one of your listeners and you should do when we're off the air, you go and get your frying pan.
throw
You,
it
tu-
out.
you turn it upside down, you bonk yourself upside the head with it so it's associated with pain, and then you throw that stupid thing out, right? And you cook in water if you're going to cook. Now remember, we're creatures of nature, right? Doesn't matter where you come from, we're creatures of nature. Under our clothes, we're all naked and we're part of nature, okay? Well, nature's mandate for creatures that eat has always been fresh, whole,
Mm.
raw, organic, local, seasonal for most things, and for humans, mostly plant-based. That's nature's standard. So
Right.
when you cook with water, you're already off the standard. And when you cook foods in water, you can't burn the water because it just evaporates, right?
True.
So that part's good, but you're destroying the enzymes that are in raw foods that will do 60% of the digestion of the food for you if you chew it properly, and you're killing the probiotics that are on raw foods the way they are in nature. So you need to replace those, and you're losing some minerals into your cooking water unless you drink that, and you're damaging partially some of the more sensitive amino acids and vitamins. So you're already doing damage to the food when you cook in water. So what I say to people is, okay, look, you're starting wherever you're starting. You're
Hmm.
frying the hell out of things or whatever you're doing, right? Look at there and then head in the direction of fresh, whole, raw, organic, because that's nature's mandate. And it take time to do that, because if you're not used to raw food, sometimes they're kind of hard to digest.
Yeah, yeah.
I eat mostly raw. I'm 83. I don't have any aches or pains. I'm on no drugs. I eat pretty much mostly plant-based, mostly raw, and it works supremely well. I didn't always eat like that,
Mm,
but I got to a point where I realized, you know what, raw foods actually work better for me. And then
yeah.
I gradually went in that direction. And and then you don't need don't need the frying pan, and then you don't
Mhm.
need to, all that other stuff that goes with it, the smoke in the kitchen and the grease on your ceiling, so like all of that happens with, and the stinky smell in the kitchen when you go in there, when you got fried oil sticking to your to your walls, right?
So how do you feel about fried oils?
Yeah, yeah.
I,
Tell me what you really think.
the one thing interesting thing you said multiple interesting things, but the one thing I want our listeners to pick out is that you said you like I didn't land here overnight, so you didn't just like throw out
Yeah,
your frying pan, throw everything out your kitchen. You've gradually figured out these are the things that work for my body,
yeah.
and I really like that because
But there's that part. But then the other part is, look at how it is in nature when it's not civilized,
mhm,
because we're part of that,
yep,
and we civilized and we separated ourselves, and it hasn't done us well.
no,
So we've caused problems in the environment. We cause problems with each other. We cause problems to ourselves
yeah,
because we're living out of line with nature. You cannot be, health was invented by life in nature.
yeah,
And health means you're living in adaptation, in line with the natural system within which you live, right? So if life invented it, then it's not the doctor and not the lawyers and not the government and not the pharmaceutical companies that should define health for you. You
yeah.
need to look at how it was in nature. And in nature, everything's raw.
Well,
And every
and
creature eats everything raw. You will never see, you might see a squirrel in a frying pan, but you will never see a squirrel with a frying pan.
I just like visualize like a squirrel campfire, like
Yeah, yeah.
cooking up the nuts.
Yeah, 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 yeah. It goes a lot of different directions. That one.
It does go lots of different directions.
Anyway, anyway, and then if you recognize, okay, I'm part of nature, and this is how nature arranged it, you also get that every step you take away from living in line with nature will cost you something in health
Yeah,
at some point.
and as we've all kind of seen food evolve, right? So it's like if I think about the food choices when I
Well,
was a
we shouldn't call it food evolve. We should call it food degenerate.
Fuji, okay. But we've
Yeah,
seen like, the foods as when you were a child, went to the grocery store and it was probably this much variety, right? And
yeah,
then, when I went to the grocery store, then it was like this much variety. Now you
yeah,
go to the grocery store and you're just like,
yeah,
holy crap. Like
yeah.
they've,
And most of it is unholy crap.
yeah, they've taken like, one thing. Let's talk about chicken or no, turkey. Turkey.
Yeah,
So now it's ground turkey, it's turkey bacon, turkey pepperoni, turkey this, turkey and
yeah, yeah.
and the food industry has convinced us because it's turkey, it's better,
Yeah.
right? So the marketing that we've
Yeah.
been
Yeah.
subjected to over, the decades of foods companies trying to like get, deeper and deeper into our pockets has been
Yeah.
ridiculous over the
Yeah. Yeah.
last several
Yeah.
decades.
In advertising, you get to lie.
Yeah.
And then
Fruit
you get
Loops,
to paint a pretty picture for somebody and say, "Oh, well, I got to have that." Right? And
right.
that's
Fruit Loops is a whole grain. And I'm like, whole grains ain't green.
really, yeah, there's no grain in there.
Like it's right, stamped on the cover. It says,
Yeah,
Fruit
and
Loops,
if you eat the Fruit Loops, you get looped.
right. Looped and duped on those Fruit Loops,
Duped and then looped, yeah.
or fruit packages that have like it has 2 grams of protein, and you're like, really? Like,
Yeah,
look at the chicken breast, and then tell me how many grams of protein that they both have.
yeah, and it's 80% water, the chicken
Yeah,
breast, right? So, and seeds and nuts have as more protein in them than chicken does,
yeah.
and steak does, right? And work just as well, and they keep better, and they, taste better, actually.
So
And you don't have to burn them, and you don't cook
have to
them in
fry them.
oil. It's just like, yeah, yeah, it's like I know, and then you look at white sugar and white flour, and then the oils. I call them the white oils because they've taken all
Yes,
the antioxidants out, and those things give you inflammation, and
right,
inflammation causes problems everywhere in your body.
right,
And all of it is always because of the steps you took, with encouragement from people who don't really care about your health,
right,
right? Steps you took out of line with living in line with nature and your nature.
right. And so, to get back to like the oils, a lot
Yeah.
of women, or even I think most humans are told to supplement with fish oil, and so go out and get a good fat omega-3,
Mhm.
and can you've talked
Yeah.
a little bit about the processing of oils. What are your thoughts about these? Like, everyone feels like they need to get an omega supplement if they're
Yeah.
not doing oils.
Okay. So first of all, omega-3 and omega-6 are plant-based. They're the essential fatty acids, linoleic acid and alpha linolenic acid.
Hmm.
Alpha linolenic acid, the plant omega-3, is 5 times more sensitive to damage by light, oxygen, and heat than omega-6. And the fish oil omega-3s are 5 times more sensitive than the plant omega-3
Mm,
to that damage. So that's why fish oils burp on you, and that's
yeah.
why if you get them in a bottle, you open it up, and within days you can smell the rancidity in the fridge because they're
Mm,
super, super sensitive. And they're highly damaged because they're so sensitive, because the fish oil industry treats the fish oils kind of like the same as the industry treats the seed oils.
okay.
So a lot of same processing, sodium hydroxide, phosphoric acid, bleached and heated to frying temperature. And so I don't recommend fish oils. I don't recommend fish anymore either, because fish is now the dirtiest meat on the planet.
Mm,
Because all the junk we dump on land goes downhill, ends up in the ocean,
right.
and in the ocean concentrates up the food chain. So salmon is high on the food chain.
Yeah.
Krill is low, and
Right.
algae are low. So if you're going to eat anything from there, the lower on the food chain, it's true actually everywhere. So the
Gotcha.
lower you eat on the
Because the
food
krill eats
chain,
it, because the krill eats the algae, and then
yeah,
the
yeah,
salmon eat the krill, and then something else is going to eat the
yeah,
salmon,
the little
and
fish eat the
yeah,
big fish. I mean, the big fish eat the little fish, and the seals and whales eat the big fish.
right.
And the higher up you go on that, the more concentrated the toxins become, because none of those animals know how to break them down.
No.
So they just concentrate up the food chain.
And so when a lot of times you'll see oils say cold press. Is that like bullshit?
Yep. How's that for a short answer? Yeah, because cold pressed, and that's a historical thing. Like originally oil was made in wedge presses,
Yep.
and they had a wedge, and they put the seeds in this wedge, and then they had like a wooden mallet, and every time the woman went through the house, went by there, she'd pick up the mallet, bang the wedge, and a few drops of oil would drip out of the oils. That was cold hammered, they called it, right? And then that, and then when the big industry came along and made the screw presses, they wanted to give people the idea that this is the same quality as this fresh hammered oil, but it wasn't. So that was advertising. So they called it cold pressed. And the truth
Gotcha.
is, in those screw presses, the enormous heat is created by friction because when it's turning, right? And
Right.
sometimes it is so hot that when the seed cake comes out, it's actually smoking. That's how
Hmm.
hot it gets, like more than frying temperature. And they still
Gotcha.
call it cold pressed. So we asked them one time, and then they heat it to frying temperature in the rest of the processing. And we called one of the companies and I said, how come you call it cold pressed when you've heated that oil to 450 degrees Fahrenheit, just like the high end of frying temperature?
Yeah, yeah.
And they said, well, we define cold press to mean that we didn't add any external heat while it was being pressed. So they can define it any way they want, make up any BS they want, and so it is completely BS. There's no legal definition for that term. So anybody can call anything cold pressed, and they use it to try and give you the idea that this is high quality oil when it is or is not, independent of whether it is or is not.
Right. So at that point it's semantics is how they're picking a piece in the process and saying because they didn't apply heat, here it is, it's cold.
Yeah, yeah. So, but I would say whenever you see it, be suspicious because
Hmm.
they're trying to put one over on you
You've made me
because they know
suspicious
it
of so
too.
many things.
That cold pressed has no. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Be alert, be vigilant, and you can trust God, life, and nature.
Right. And
And
so
nature, has some danger in it, but so fundamentally, you have to figure it out yourself. But
yeah.
don't, when I came out of the Second World War, my parents said to us, question everything. And
Yeah.
that's not a bad way to go about it.
No, not at
And
all.
maybe look a little deeper and look into science and look into how things work, and get your own idea because anybody will say anything, everybody has an agenda,
They do.
right?
They
And
do.
so they'll say whatever, if they want you to buy something, they'll say whatever they need to say in order to make you think, oh well, then I better buy this, I better have this,
Right.
and that's called marketing.
It is called marketing. So,
Yeah.
your one of the reasons why I use your oil is because it has that blend of 3, 6, and 9. And you're right, for
Hmm.
many of us, and I guess let's kind of set a definition of what or when people are thinking when we say omega 3, 6, and 9, what kind of foods are most people we see these 3, 6, and 9s? Because I know that for most of us, 6 is really easy for us to get in the standard American
Yeah.
diet. It comes from
Yep.
nuts and seeds, and
Yep.
I can walk to any store and I'm going to trip over a nut or a seed. So where
Yep.
do I get 3 and 9 from?
Okay. Not so. If you look in like if you take the geography of the planet into account, omega 3s are closer to the poles
Mm,
because they're higher energy and they're so we call them warming oils because they actually increase energy production. So omega 3. So they're by the poles, South Pole, North Pole. Then you go in from that and you end up with omega 6s.
hmm.
Then you go in from that and you end up at the Mediterranean. That's where your omega 9s are most abundant. And then you get into the tropics, and in the tropics you get like coconut and palm kernel, and they're saturated fats, and those are cooling fats. And
Mm,
it actually makes sense that you would have warm it. You would want a
yeah.
warming oil where it's cold and a cooling oil where it's warm.
Right, right.
So in nature, that's how it was arranged. And we have like all our seeds and nuts have omega 6s in them, but only a few of them have omega 3s. So there's a little
Right.
bit of omega 3 in soybean, in walnut, in canola, in hemp, and in flax. Flax is very rich in it.
And 3.
In three, yeah,
And then
and
but
uh, and you can actually become omega 6 deficient because flax oil has so much omega 3
huh.
that it can crowd out the omega. so much omega-3 that it can crowd out the omega-6s.
And so,
So that's why I don't work with flax oil anymore. We developed flax oil in 1986 because omega-3 deficiency is the single most widespread essential nutrient deficiency of our time. So we thought we'd
really?
bring it back. But if you take flax oil as your only source of fat, you will become omega-6 deficient.
And it's interesting because, I work with primarily women over 40, and
Yeah.
that's one of the big pushes for women over 40 is to have flax because one of the fiber, but two also has helped to lower estrogen levels.
Yeah. Well, it actually has estrogen in it. Flax has estrogen in it, but the estrogens are weak. So they compete with the strong estrogens before menopause. And then after menopause, you're getting some omega-6 benefits when your body stops making it.
Yeah,
So flax is good for that's the seed.
right.
And if you're eating, but yeah, there's not a lot of omega-6s in flax. So we started with flax because we wanted to raise omega-3 levels because they're way low, way, way, way low.
Yeah,
And then we did develop the blend because I became omega-6 deficient on flax oil. I got
gotcha.
dry eyes, skipped heartbeats, arthritis-like pain in finger joints, and thin, papery skin. Classic omega-6 deficiency symptoms. And what you really want to do in terms of skin and all of that, if you get the ratio between omega-3 and 6 right, together, they form a barrier in your skin against the loss of moisture. And you end up with soft, smooth, velvety skin.
Well, and
So when your
everything.
skin is dry, you need more oils, but you need to get the balance right, and they should not be damaged.
And it's funny because what you just described about, thin skin, joints, that's every perimenopause, like every perimenopausal woman's thing. And so what you're
Yeah,
saying is, look at your oil source because,
yeah,
you know, the media darling of oils is olive, right? And if you ask, every person, do you use oils? Oh, I use olive oil.
yeah.
And,
So let me talk about that a little bit. So olive oil is popular because it's not damaged, because it's made in a different way. Okay,
okay,
because what they do is they press the oil out of the flesh of the olive, not out of the seed.
gotcha.
And they float it off on water, and they don't use the Drano window washing acid, bleach, and fry. They don't use that if it's really extra virgin olive oil, because you can also get olive oils that have been treated
Yeah.
damaged too. So, so that means they have not been damaged by the processing. That's the good part. And they're pretty stable because they mostly contain omega-9s. Well, omega-9 is not essential. Your body can make that out of sugar and starch. So you don't need omega-9s, only omega-3 and 6. Okay. And then but then olive oil comes from the Mediterranean. No omega-3s. And
Mm,
only 10% of the oil is omega-6. And omega-3 and omega-6 are the only two things from oils that you need, or from fat that you need, because they're essential. You can't make them, you got to have them. Okay. So olive oil is not a good source of omega-3 or omega-6.
mm.
And then the third thing is that everybody uses olive oil for frying. Well,
Yes.
traditionally in the Mediterranean countries, they didn't do that. What they did is they cooked their food in water, then they dumped the water, then they added oil for two reasons. One is to enhance flavors,
Mm.
because oils enhance flavors, because many of the flavors are oil soluble. And they improve the absorption of oil soluble nutrients in the foods.
Ah,
So that's good. But if you use olive oil for frying, bad idea. And if you use olive oil, you still need a source of omega-3 and omega-6, because those two, in the right ratio, undamaged, are the key thing in the world of oils. And then if you've got those optimized, then you can have some saturated fats, and it's not a problem. If you don't get those, then saturated fats can cause you problems. But the
right,
problem shouldn't be blamed on the saturated fats. They should be blamed on not getting enough omega-3,
right.
usually, in your
And
diet.
omega 3 is more of the cold fish that
Yeah, high fat cold water fish.
okay.
But flax is the plant source.
Flax is the plant
and
source.
and flax you can get undamaged. The fish oils are usually damaged, or they contain toxins, because the toxins that we dump on land, they all go downhill, end up in the ocean, and then go up, uh, you know, uh, get more concentrated in the food chain. So I don't eat fish anymore. I used to. I eat fish all the time. It was
Mm.
like now it's the dirtiest meat on the planet. It's worse than pork, worse than chicken, worse than animals. Because the animals on land, they that those toxins are always going downhill. So they're always going off the land, but then they end up in the ocean and then they got no place to go. So and we've been doing that for 100 years now, and we've thrown a lot of junk in the ocean.
Oh God, yeah. Yeah, it's
Even
ridiculous.
even we all our garbage, we where do you
Yeah,
where do you take the garbage? Well, they sell them to countries that have shoreline, and then they dump it in the ocean.
right. Or it sits on a beach and then, a wave takes it out.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, but it ends up in the ocean and then it goes everywhere.
Right. It's the area between the United States and Japan, and there's like this kind of like ever-growing area. Like I think it's called like the Japanese like garbage.
Yeah, they call it the plastic island.
Yeah, and it just
It's a,
like
s- it's the size of Texas and it's 100 feet deep. And there are now four islands like that because there's some in the Pacific Ocean, but there's also some in the Indian Ocean. And so there's now four places like that where all this stuff collects because of the way the currents go through the ocean.
yeah.
And that's all just stuff we made and then just flipped out, sold
Yeah.
it cheap for people to dump for us in the ocean that we share. It's like, what?
Well, right. And here, us Americans were like, "Oh, I'll sell it to you so that I don't feel guilty that I did it."
Yeah,
Knowing
yeah,
knowing full well
yeah.
that you're gonna do it, but I didn't
Yeah,
do it.
and it still goes in the same ocean.
Right.
I know it's like, uh, yeah, this is like you call the school and say, hi, Johnny can't come to school today. This is my mother speaking.
Right, exactly. And they're like, okay, we'll mark you absent. Um,
Yeah, 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 yeah. Okay, okay, mother.
so if we had to play this game, fix my pantry, right?
Yeah.
What oils should we ditch in our if I'm opening up my cupboard, what are some of the oils that I should just be like, just stop buying?
Okay. Anything that's been treated with sodium hydroxide phosphoric acid, bleached, and then deodorized. So all of the colorless, odorless, tasteless oils in plastic bottles, get rid of all of them.
Now, are oil companies required to tell you how they process the oil?
No.
So I could flip over my oil and see it just says 100% blah 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 oil.
Yeah. So if it said organic,
Mm-hmm.
there are rules around that. You can't
Okay.
say organic if it's not, although people will lie about it.
Right.
And if it said unrefined, that would mean it hadn't been treated with
Okay.
sodium hydroxide phosphoric acid. And again, people cheat,
Mm.
but usually they don't put that on.
Right.
I hardly ever see that. But it should be unrefined and it should be organic if you're looking for words, or you should know who's making the oil and what they're doing. And that's kind of like what we did, right? We said, okay, we're going to make oils with health in mind. Nobody on the planet is doing that. They just like they didn't care about health. They
Right.
cared about shelf life. We're going to make oils with health in mind. That means we have to give them a lot of care. That means they have to be refrigerated and made in the dark, and the system has to be super tight. So we developed all that. I'm actually in the Canadian Health Food Association Hall of Fame
Oh,
for
nice.
starting the industry of making oils with health in mind.
Nice.
And we came out with
Congratulations.
flax oil in 1986, and I started in 1980 when I got poisoned. And then the blend we came out because became deficient. The blend came out in 1994.
Yeah, and that was probably around, I started using it in like 2002, 2003.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, when you
I w-
start something like this, that it takes a while for the word to get out.
Well, and I will say that over the years I've been using it. Before it was like I had to like really like go. There was only like two places that I could go and get it, and now I can now get it's a little bit more readily available to me.
Yeah, yeah,
And so in your new book,
yeah,
you talk about, your body needs an oil change. So what is
yeah.
the biggest shift that you're hoping that readers take away from this?
Well, are we getting to the end of our thing here? Is
Yeah,
this
we have about
okay?
probably like 10 more minutes here.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So I I started with oils, then I got into digestion. Digestion is the second most messed up place because there's so much going on there, right?
Hmm.
And so I started working with digestive enzymes and probiotics. And those get killed when you cook foods. And so they should be replaced. Anytime you eat cooked food, you should be replacing the probiotics and the digestive enzymes. And because if you cook your food, you make your body do more than twice as much work than it would have had to do in nature if you were
Ah,
eating everything raw, right? And it wasn't made for that. So that'll catch up with you and then it'll interfere with your immune function too, because your immune system gets involved when your digestive system can't handle it.
right.
So I got into that, and then we got into greens because greens is the foundation of all nutrition, right? And we made portable greens that people could, if they're traveling, because a lot of people travel, they
Right.
take them with them, and so they have some control over their greens intake. And then I was sitting down one day and I said, "So what else affects health?" And the answer that came back was everything affects health. And I was like, "Oh, okay." And so what I'm doing now is I'm doing two things. I am turning human nature into a teachable field
Mm.
because you'd think that us knowing what this is would be the most important thing for us to live well.
Nope.
And we've never done that in 200,000 years. Nobody's ever done that.
Nope.
It's like, wow. And then the other one is total health based in nature and human nature. And so that's what I'm doing. The most neglected part is the internal part.
Mm.
So we're talking about peace, because in the core of your being, there is an access to peace. And that
Yeah.
peace is everywhere in the world. There's more peace in the world than anything else. But you don't know that until you experience it within yourself,
Yep.
your connection to it. That is the most neglected thing on the planet.
Oh, yeah.
Imagine if 8 billion people took a few minutes every day just to get really still, bring their focus inside to the core of their being, and felt that peace. And then lived that peace into the world. Okay, that's really cool. So that's the most neglected. The second is everybody's looking for love, right?
Yep.
Where do you look for love?
In all the wrong places.
Yeah, there's a song like that, right?
Yes.
And the truth is in all the wrong places. Why? Because life, your life, and everybody who's listening, and my life is a fraction of solar energy. And by the way, that's what makes the grass and the trees and the animals alive. We're
Right.
all solar energy gadgets. It's a fraction of solar energy is called life inside when it's inside my body. And that solar energy fraction called life is unconditional empowering love for my body. So I am unconditionally loved by life.
Right.
So again, if I want to feel loved,
You have to feel love for yourself.
yeah, then you got to sit still, bring your focus inside into the energy and the space your body occupies. You can see it, you can hear it, you can feel it, you can taste it. And that energy loves you, your body unconditionally, lifelong, never goes on strike, never complains, never gets even with you when you curse your life,
Right.
just loves you, loves you, loves you, loves you, and empowers you. It's the power. It's omnipresent, omnipotent, and omniscient in your body.
And as you said,
So,
if,
so yeah, so that's the second thing we miss.
hmm.
And then the shine of that love into the world. I call that inspired purpose,
Mm.
right? Well, if you're not feeling it, you ain't going to feel the shine into the world. But when you feel it and you shine into the world, it makes you positive and it makes you want to help and it makes you do what needs to be done and it makes you look at how can I make the biggest splash for good in the time that I have, right? Those three things are the most neglected and therefore most important because it's our foundation.
Yeah.
And if you're living without foundation, then everything's all over
Falls
the place.
apart.
And when you
Right.
look at how crazy the world is, you're pretty sure that most people are living without foundation.
They are. They are. And
Yeah,
as you said, that very first thing, if we just sit and get quiet. And
yeah,
I know a lot of my women listening to this show, the thought of like taking 5 minutes out of their day just to like, go for a walk or get some sun on their face or just sit quietly, like you
yeah.
just literally freak them right the hell out.
Yeah, in fact, what you need to tell them is like if you're freaked out and you don't have any time, then don't take 5 minutes, take an hour,
Right. You need more.
right? So that should be your trigger for sitting down and doing nothing is when you just feel overwhelmed and oh my God, I got so much to do, to do, to do, to. Here's the thing, when I sit down, I do this. I've been doing this for 53 years. Stillness practice, right? We call it self-knowledge,
Yeah.
getting to know yourself. What is this, right? So so what I found out is that I said like, okay, well, I'm taking an hour out of my day. I do an hour a day pretty much, right? Take
Good
an
for
hour out
you.
of my day where I should be doing something. But what I found out is when I sit and do nothing, my day gets organized while I'm
Yes.
sitting there, and I'm much more efficient in the way I get things done, and I don't have to backtrack and redo stuff because I forgot something, or
Mm.
I screwed it up because I didn't think it through. So in the time you spend in stillness, not only do you feel the peace and the love that is there for you, that is kind of like what people need the most and want the most and are trying to do all their other outside stuff to try and get, but it's
Yeah.
not out there, it's already in here,
Right.
right?
So it's like,
And yeah, and so not only do I feel the love and the peace and it makes me feel good, and I'm not looking for trying to do all these other things and manipulate the world to try and
right.
get it, but I am more organized, I am more focused, I am calmer, I don't create problems nearly as much, right? And I respond rather than react to what comes at me, so I
Yeah.
don't get triggered like I used to. And you know what, I in for me, I came out of a war. That's not where I ever want to spend my life again.
Right.
And I would like to bring peace to this planet. At least in my little sphere of influence. I'm around some people. I joke. We have a lot of fun. I joke, and everything gets lighter. But when it comes down to that, yeah, take stillness practice. That's the most important thing. When it comes to nutrition, the oils are the most neglected, and the digestion stuff is second.
Agreed. And I'm, grateful that digestion is now having a moment that people are realizing,
Yeah,
just, you could be eating the best thing on the planet, but if your digestion is all fouled up, it doesn't matter how good you
yeah,
eat because you're
yeah,
not
yeah.
absorbing any of the
Yeah, there's stuff going on because either you're burping or you're farting or you're, you know,
right.
or
Or you
or
just feel you just
or,
feel
or,
after you
or your
eat.
stomach hurts, or
Right.
you throw up, or you get diarrhea, or you get constipated. So there's always something going on because the hardest working system is not your head; it's actually your digestive system because you're
Right.
taking foreign material and you're breaking it all down, pulling it in, making your body out of. That's a
Right.
huge job.
Huge job. And then it's like I think about like did you ever see the I Love Lucy with the conveyor belt and she's like trying to keep up like putting all the chocolates and then she's like it's just going too fast and so she's just putting the chocolates in her mouth so that she can kind of keep up with it. Sometimes I feel like all of the different foods that we demand our body process, that's our body like I don't know what this is, but I'm trying to keep
Yeah,
up with all the things you keep throwing at me.
yeah, and they go.
Right. And then eventually your body's like, Uncle, like I'm out.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's
Yeah. It's just, so I think those are the two. And then the other thing is in terms of, there's somebody once told me, nothing you believe is true.
mm,
And he said, there's nothing wrong with belief systems, with beliefs, as long as you don't believe them. And I like that, right? And so about mindset, everything you think that person looked at you weird because they got blah, blah, blah. You're just making that shit up,
you are. Yeah.
right? So don't do it. You don't need to do that, So things are, the world of change, in the world of change, everything changes.
Oh yeah.
Don't try and force it not to change because it's going to change anyway.
Right. It's
And what
fine.
and the place that doesn't change is the place in you that you're not going to.
Or
So get your
discernment.
foundation, get your constancy, get your foundation from from the place that is your foundation.
And
And
when
don't
you,
try to find some other foundation out there in the world of change that's always changing.
right, because when you get that foundation, you then you find discernment so that you're not easily like sucked into all of
Yeah,
the,
it's like the kid, you know, when the kid holds on to mommy's finger
right,
and then looks around, oh wow, look at that, wow, you
right,
know. But then it loses the finger, and
right,
all of a sudden nothing matters except to find the finger again.
exactly,
Well, and we have that finger inside of us.
right,
That's where our peace lives. That's where our contentment is. That's where our love is.
right.
And when we access that and get good at doing that, because it takes a little bit of
Oh
practice to
yeah,
get good at,
absolutely.
right? When we get good at that, all of a sudden it's like, okay, well, you know, yeah, okay, our politicians are saying this and that's bullshit. On the other
Right,
side saying that, that's bullshit too.
right,
Why am I even paying attention? So I
exactly.
go wash my dishes and go and tend my garden and go for a walk with my kids and go hang out in nature, and, you know, and then you don't take it on and make it something more inside of you,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly.
So that's the mindset part. You know, what did Tony Robbins says? A belief system. You
Hmm.
know, it's not for nothing that belief system is abbreviated BS.
Yeah.
Belief system BS, right? So that's all your BS. You know,
Cool.
the less you make your BS important, the more fun you'll have in your life.
Yeah. There's a woman that I follow. Her name is Byron Katie. And
Byron Katie, yeah,
yeah. And
yeah, yeah,
she asked like she can sum up like the craziest problem, like in your mind, the problem's like this big,
yeah, yeah.
and with her four questions. And
There
the
was an
first,
is it true?
is it true? Right. And
Yeah,
it's black and white. It's like yes or no. Like, because
yeah,
if I ask you, is it true? So many people can like, give me this dissertation about,
yeah,
but she's like, yes or no. And so
yeah,
as you were talking about that and having that moment of stillness, and you might be wrestling with something, and
yeah,
those that moment where you can just kind of be like, is everything going on in my right now? Is it true? Is it
yeah.
just me like amplifying it, or is it really
Is
something
it?
going
Yeah,
on?
and almost always it's not true.
It's not true. And it's not
Yeah,
true. And it's just like,
and then what's the second one? Is it really true?
is it really true? Because it's like, and as you see her kind of do these questions with people with like variety of what they consider problems,
Yeah,
by the time she gets through all those four questions, that person's like, damn,
yeah,
like,
yeah, and the last question is, if you didn't have that belief,
yeah,
how would your life be? And the answer is always a lot better.
right. And but it's like she starts you and you're all up here. You're all like, oh my God, it's the worst thing
Yeah,
since ever. It's so you
yeah,
can't solve it, Byron. I
yeah,
know you can't solve it. And then within like 30 minutes, she's like, oh,
yeah.
you solved it.
Yeah, yeah, and it's beautiful because when you go through that, then at the end you say, "Wow, I just did that to myself."
Right. And so,
Wow, I
as
just
that
did that to myself. I don't have to do that to myself.
and as I think about like that moment of stillness, especially if you're coming in it from like, oh my God, I have so much going on right now. And
Yeah,
it's kind of like asking yourself, like, do I really have a lot of stuff going on? Like,
yeah,
yes or
yeah,
no, right? Is
yeah,
it my self-imposed perfectionism deadlines that are making me feel this all like bzzz going
yeah,
on?
yeah, 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 exactly. Yeah, I love Byron Katie. She's
Yeah,
very cool.
she like literally like got me out of my head so many times.
Yeah,
But this has been such a like I didn't know where this conversation was going to go, but you like took me on a great adventure today.
yeah,
And
good.
where can people find your book, your oils, more of
Yeah,
your magic?
yeah. I always say, well, that's the wrong question because what you really need to find is where are you?
Oh, I knew you
You
were going
can,
to give me some type of Udo
yeah.
philosophical spin.
Yeah. So, um, but because ultimately you live with yourself. That's why I say it, and I have fun with it.
I know you
I
do.
have a website. It's udoerasmus.com, and it's all over the map. We're building some new stuff, and I have a Facebook. I'm on Facebook, and I'm on Instagram, and I'm in LinkedIn, and I have a YouTube channel.
Awesome.
Quite a bit of stuff on my YouTube channel. Um, And my books are easy to find. You can go on Google and get them. Your
Yeah, and
body needs an oil change is the new one. The old one is fats that heal, fats that kill, because they're literally two opposite stories on fats.
right.
Some of them hurt you, and some of them are really important for you. And when you know the difference, then you pick the ones that heal, and you avoid the ones that kill. And that's
Right.
basically how you get that in line. And what else? Yeah, I'm more coming, but
Good.
it's all big. It's all the big picture stuff now. It's like
Perfect.
human nature, total health.
I think nowadays we get enough of eat this, not that. I think most of us need to zoom out and just like we talked about that moment of quiet and just like what makes sense for you. Like
Yeah,
looking at the whole 360
yeah,
of yourself
and
versus
that, yeah,
oils and
and
this and this and this. Like let's look at
yeah,
everything.
yeah, and imagine what it would be like if 8 billion people took a few minutes to
No,
tap into the love and the peace. Then we would actually be helping each other. We
absolutely.
could do that. How,
Possibly.
yeah, yeah,
I mean, we can always imagine like what it would be like if everyone like, took a moment. It's
yeah,
kind of like,
yeah,
several times during the day, Muslims like pray, like, what if we all just took that moment and just like got quiet and just, it was like a mandated thing, get quiet for like a
yeah,
minute and
yeah.
and see what happens.
Yeah, and you can't maybe do it for the whole world, but you can do it in your own space. So
Right.
that takes care of the quality of your life, and then you can let that seep out, by osmosis into the environment where you have an influence.
Right. And so I ask everyone, what's one thing that makes you feel magical?
Peace,
Oh, yeah.
because that's where everything starts. Like there's literally we come out of nothing, and that nothing has everything in it. All the potential is there, and if you can be quiet in that quiet. You can actually notice your access is in the core of your being.
Mm,
But that peace, so you're a center for peace, but that peace is not limited to your body. That peace actually goes out to infinity. And when you experience that, it's kind of like, yeah, you can send peace around the world. And some people are sensitive to it and they'll pick it up. And they might not pick up that it's coming from you, but they'll pick up the peace.
yeah, I like it.
And for me, that's always good. And why? Because I was 2 when the war ended in Europe, in
Hmm.
Second World War, and we were refugees, and the communists were chasing us in tanks and trucks, and the Allies were shooting at us from planes, shooting at refugees from planes. The Allies, the good guys.
Right.
And so we were in the middle of that, and I got left behind. And I just remember I was always like this. I never felt safe. I
Oh,
didn't know
yeah,
what I could trust because people said different things, opposite things
all the
every
time.
5 minutes
Yeah.
because there was so much chaos, right? And I remember being hungry. And I grew when I was 6 years old, and I listened to adults argue. I said, there must be a way that people can live in harmony. These
Mm,
little cocky voices, and I'm going to find out how. So that's been my driver all my life. Is like peace. There's going to be no war anywhere where I am,
I love
and
it.
peace, and peace is not the absence of war. Peace is a presence, and absence of peace makes us drift into war. And
Yeah.
so we need to deliberately cultivate peace if we want to live in peace. It's already there, but we have to cultivate it. We have to get good at connecting with it, and we have to good at staying there. When all the shit when the shit hits the fan, so to speak.
Literally, because I
Yeah,
think that we all kind of start spinning around versus kind of like
yeah,
pausing for a second and
yeah,
then reacting versus the
and
immediate
yeah,
reaction.
yeah. I think we call it responding when we're not reacting.
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
Oh, this has been
yeah.
such a
So
great conversation. And you guys, I don't know if I'm the only person who's going to go downstairs right now and do some type of oil exorcism in my cupboard. Udo shared so
oh
much
yeah,
beyond oils. Like I didn't even know where this conversation would go, but it was well beyond oils. And absolutely grab his book. I know I am, and I know I'm gonna like. He made me really kind of pause and say, I need a moment of peace in my day, and I'm really gonna start to build that around that. And so, if you are curious about his 369 blend, it's absolutely delicious. It has this like nice little like nutty taste to it. It's really and it's like very like light. It's not like a heavy oil at all. So definitely
Yeah.
check it out and don't cook with it. And
Don't cook
everything
with
he
it.
everything he talked about, I am going to put in the show notes. So as always, do me a favor, screenshot this. If there was something that you were like, aha, screenshot that and make sure you tag both myself and Udo on the socials. And Udo, thank you so much for taking the time today.
Well, thank you for having me. What you're doing is putting the word out. You're helping a lot of people. That
That's the
gotta
goal.
that's gotta feel good.
That is the goal.
Yeah,
All
yeah.
right, Magic Makers, I will talk
Beautiful.
to you next week. Enjoy the rest of your day.